Hello everyone, welcome to CNA, the daily newspaper analysis. So today we have got the following topics to discuss. So let's start. Tribal districts over TV intervention. Center picks 75 tribal districts for TV intervention projects. So you can see that recently the Union Health Minister launched this project, that is the Tribal TV Initiative, as a step towards achieving the TB Mukt Bharat by 2025. Okay. So the ministry released its guidance note on a joint action plan, okay, for elimination of tuberculosis, that is the known as TB, and a special edition of the tribal ministry's publications, that is known as ALEKH, ALEKH, ALEKH. So ALEKH on TB and a document on tribal tuberculosis initiative at the event was basically launched after this initiative that was put forward by the Union Health Minister. So if I say about the initiative, the health minister stated that India has over 104 million tribal populations that lives in India, and across 705 tribes, accounting for 8.6% of the country's population, are highly fed with such number of areas which have got a good number of TB diseases. So around 177 tribal districts of today in our country, where the tribals have got their respective hold, they were identified as high priority districts, where because of some number of poor living conditions, physical remoteness, malnutrition, as well as lack of awareness, contributed to the vulnerability of the tribal populations towards the TB. And hence, the Union Health Minister, with some of the activities of the joint plan, will initially focus on some around 161 districts across 18 identified states. So हम लोग का 177 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में पूरा फैला हुआ है, दैट इज द हाई प्रायोरिटी डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स HPD. तो अभी हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, वी आर डायरेक्टली फोकसिंग ऑन 161 across 18 identified states, and the activities includes even deploying some form of improved vulnerability mapping techniques and organizations of sensitization and capacity building workshop for the volunteers who directly come over here to make use of prevention of this number of TBs. And there would also be a periodic TB active case finding drives, which will provide the TB preventive therapy to identified vulnerable population by developing long-term mechanisms for vulnerability reduction. Okay. So at that point of time, he also mentioned about the linkage of the Nikshay portal, NIKSHAY, Nikshay portal. And this portal of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, alongside the Swasthya portal, SWASTHYA, Swasthya portal of the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, will boost the data compilation of the tuberculosis and pave way for efficient and conversion actions against TB. So therefore, in the increasing the budget allocations for TB in India to fourfold in the last 5 years is directly can be related with the center's plan to end up this TB by 2025. Today we have seen about the UTs of Lakshadweep, district of Badgam in Jammu and Kashmir have been declared TB free on World TB Day on 2021. So you can say that in this respective area, because of the conditions that we have today in these respective districts, the tribal districts are more in prominence because of the living conditions which are very much of pathetic as well as poor in the areas that is holding such number of tribal people because of their poor living conditions. Okay, so this was all about the practice that was directly made by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for their respective interventions in their category to remove the TB from the populace. Okay, chalo, coming to the next one. Net zero target to boost India's GDP. Okay, so if I see about the net zero emissions, achieving the net zero emissions by 2070 could boost India's economy above the projected baseline growth in GDP terms by 2036, that is a worth of a total of $371 billion. And this directly illustrates the modeling and research commission by the High Level Policy Commission on getting Asia to net zero emission. And this could boost the GDP by almost 7.3% and create almost 20 million additional jobs by 2032. तो देख लो कितना असरदायक है if we are directly cutting on the zero emissions. Today we can see that the committee members who directly went on for such number of studies. So the committee members has got various members, which directly even the Ban Ki-moon, former vice chairman of Niti Aayog, Arvind Pangaria, okay, even Vivek Pathak, all these people who were holding such number of esteemed positions, they were directly noticing, they were directly in its report said about the annual boost of the GDP by around 4.7% by 2036. ये तो ओवरऑल हो गया, लेकिन कितना बूस्ट करना पड़ेगा हम लोग को? अराउंड 4.7% अगर हम लोग नेट जीरो एमिट करें तो. Okay, so therefore they have recommended, okay, therefore they have recommended that India's net zero emissions are not directly just important for the global fight against climate change, but they can also be a boon for the country's own sustainable and inclusive development. Even Pangaria directly said about that India promises to emerge not only as a model for healthy, sustainable and strong economic growth, but also act as a global manufacturing hub for the global net zero economy. And as the host of the G20 in 2023, India can directly showcase its action and encourage other countries to follow the suit, cooperative and invest in this respective arena of net zero. तो अगर आज मैं अगर पूरा नेट जीरो का एक टॉपिक का बारे में बताऊं तो नेट जीरो होता क्या है? It refers to a state in which the greenhouse gases going into the atmosphere are balanced by the removal out of the atmosphere. And the term net zero is important because as far as CO2 is concerned, this should be at least at minimum state if we want to stop the global warming. And even the Paris Climate Agreement that underlines the need of the net zero, it also requires the states to directly achieve a balance between the anthropogenic emissions, that is the human-made emissions, by sources and removal by sinks of the greenhouse gases in the second half of this respective century. Okay, तो हम लोग का तो डायरेक्ट एक एम ही है कि एंडिंग न्यू कोल माइनिंग बाय 2023 वुड हेल्प अचीव द नेट जीरो एमिशंस. हम लोग सोच रहे हैं कि न्यू कोल हम लोग डायरेक्टली प्रोड्यूस नहीं करेंगे फ्रॉम 2023. वी शुड एंड डायरेक्टली so that we could directly go for net zero emissions, so that we could directly produce less number of CO2, which is directly making some rise in the greenhouse gases, ultimately leading to global warming. Okay, तो ये बात यहाँ पे बोला गया. चलो नेक्स्ट पे आते हैं. CBI कन्वेक्शन रेट. मैं आज CBI के बारे में बोलूं तो CBI meaning the Central Bureau of Investigation with its sole motto of industry, impartiality and integrity. ये इन लोगों का मेन मोटो ऑफ CBI. ओके, तो CBI, what is the CBI? It is the main investigation agency of the central government for cases relating to corruptions and major criminal probes. And it has its origin in the special police establishment set up in 1941 to probe bribery and corruptions during the World War II. But today, the CBI was set up by a resolution of the Ministry of Home Affairs in 1963 after the Santhanam Committee recommendation. And the superintendence of the CBI directly rests with the CVC, that is the Central Vigilance Commission, in corruption cases and with the Department of Personnel and Training in other matters. Presently, it acts as an attached office under the Department of Personnel and Training. Although we can see about that this respective DSPE Act gives a legal power to the CBI, it is not a statutory body, as the word CBI is directly not mentioned in the DSPE Act. And the Indian agency to coordinate investigation on behalf of the Interpol member countries are this respective CBIs. So today we can see that CBI is directly involved in various number of issues. We can see the CBI has got a lack of administrative autonomy, lack of financial independence, delay in case handling, deficiency in the workforce, prior permission of the states are needed to directly go in a respective state, and therefore you can see the CBI getting arrested in West Bengal. Political interference directly makes the CBI a caged parrot speaking in its master's voice. Also, the CBI powers are misused by various agencies or various parties, leading to poor transparency and accountability of the agency to the people at large. So therefore, we have to improve this law enforcement agency by creating an independent umbrella institution. Also, an harmonious relationship between the states and the center is a must to make the working of the CBI very much of in practice. Also, bringing gender parity, bringing social legitimacy, and some of the criminal justice system reforms is also some of the various recommendations put forwarded to make the CBI more transparent and more workable. Okay, though CBI is involved in various number of cases, be it the Bofors scheme, be it the 2G spectrum, Bhopal case, Soharabuddin case, 2008 Noida double murder case, but still we can see that because of the lack of efficiency of the CBI, terming it as a cage parrot, we cannot see that today the conviction rates are directly in a decrease. आज 67.56% है in 2021 compared to 69.83. ये भी कुछ खास नहीं था, लेकिन पहले से आज का conviction rate कमा है. क्यों? Just because of the decreasing efficiency of the respective CBI. You can say investigation pending in 982 cases. So therefore, we should go for an efficient CBI so that we could allocate more and more number of powers so that they could act freely and could investigate any number of cases in an independent mechanism. Okay, so this is an analysis of the CBI. Coming to the next, disabled friendly health. Okay, इसमें पहले बात आता है Right of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. Okay, so if I say about the act, it lays the responsibility on the appropriate governments to take measures and ensures that the PWDs, that is the person with disabilities, should enjoy equal rights. Today, when it was directly formed, the type of disabilities was around 7, but today it is around 21. And the central government directly have the powers to make or add such number of disabilities. तो अगर मैं आज कुछ disabilities का नाम बोलूं, चलो 21 का ही बता देता हूं. Supposedly, first blindness हो गया, low vision, leprosy cured, hearing impairment, locomotor disability, dwarfism, intellectual disability, mental illness, autism, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, chronic neurological conditions, specific learning disabilities, multiple sclerosis, speech and language disability, thalassemia, hemophilia, sickle cell disease, multiple disabilities including deaf blindness, acid attack victims and Parkinson's disease. तो ये 21 किसमें आता है? PWD Act 2016 के अंदर आता है. And therefore disability has been defined based on an evolving and dynamic concept. एक ही definition नहीं है, बहुत सारा definition इसमें आ जाता है. And there are various number of additional benefits have been provided for the persons with benchmark disabilities and those with high support needs. So the act increased the reservation for the people with benchmark disabilities from 3 to 4% in government jobs and also 3 to 5% in higher education studies. So today you can see that this act is very important for the people who is directly facing some number of natural conditions, some number of conditions because of their respective disabilities. So आज ये practo, okay, that is a private company. Okay, that is a private company. This Practo Technologies Private Limited develops and distributes medical information system. And the company offers what? An online software platform that provides the automated appointment scheduling, billing solutions, and storage of medical records. So therefore, इसके लिए एक case बन रहा था इनके ऊपर. These are not disabled friendly. These are for the normal people. So Practo was told by the respective court to make its app disabled friendly so that every type of online services or the online software platform should be reached by these people who are very much of disabled and which are directly under this 21 categories. तो ये यहाँ पे बोला गया है about this disabled friendly act of a Practo. Okay, चलो next पे आते हैं. Orang and Kaziranga. Okay, if I say about the two respective national parks. Okay, चलो पहले काजीरंगा का बारे में बोल देता हूँ. तो काजीरंगा, it is located in the state of Assam, सब जानते हैं, and covers an area of around 42,996 hectares, and it is the single largest undistributed and representative area in the Brahmaputra Valley floodplain. Today, this area was declared as a national park back in 1974. It has been declared a tiger reserve by around 2007, and it has a total tiger reserve area of around 1030 square kilometers, with a core area of around 430 square kilometers. Today, if I say about an international status of this Kaziranga National Park, it was declared the UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985. It is also recognized as an important bird area by BirdLife International. So today, this is directly a home of the world's most one-horned rhinoceros. And hence, we could find many more other species or fauna over here. But the big four species that we can find over here in Kaziranga National Park, the first being the rhino, second being the elephant, third being the Royal Bengal tiger, and lastly, the Asiatic water buffalo. So even the 2018 census directly said about that this national park directly yielded some around 2413 rhinos and approximately around 1100 elephants. Okay, so therefore we can see that this area is a very core area for the habitat of this respective big four and mainly the tribe. So we know about that NH37 directly passes through this area. Okay, the park is almost more than 250 seasonal water bodies besides the Dipolu River directly running through it. So now if I say about the Orang National Park. Okay, so the Orang National Park is located on the northern bank of the Brahmaputra river. ये भी यहाँ पे है, Orang National Park भी यहाँ पे है, northern bank. Supposedly ये अगर असम है ऐसे T shape में, तो ऐसे river ब्रह्मपुत्र हो रहा है, तो Orang is somewhere around here और काजीरंगा is somewhere around here. तो दोनों ही location is directly on the northern banks, and it includes great Indian horned rhinoceros, the pygmy hawk, Asian elephant, wild water buffalo, as well as the Bengal tiger. And some of the rivers that directly joins ultimately to the Brahmaputra river, the Pachnoi river, the Belsiri river, the Dhonthiri river. So all these areas you can find over here. So though we know that Orang is one of the 7 national parks in Assam, the other being the Kaziranga, what I have mentioned, the Manas, Nameri, Dibru-Saikwa, Raimona, and Dihing-Patkai. Okay, so today these two respective areas needs to be very much of well connected, so that we could directly even protect the respective areas which is directly under the command of the northern bank. So supposedly if I am directly connecting these two areas, it could also directly make directly will make an ecological ecosystem for the gharials who have directly made extinction in this respective area. So therefore if we are connecting, so obviously the animals in search of their prey can directly move to this area, can directly connect them to the respective area of northern banks of Orang. So in that type of situations, we can directly say that this will significantly help the areas in forming an ecosystem, which can be helpful for the respective flora as well as the fauna. So this will help the more number of animals could directly move. This could have the habitat, this whole area that is on the northern bank will be hugely connected, so that more and more number of animals, more and more number of flora and fauna, and more number of species can have a potential ground of the respective ecosystem to be prevailing that can support the species, be it of the riverine and be it of the wetlands and be it of the respective area of the forest lands. Okay, so this was about the Orang and Kaziranga getting to be connected. Okay, chalo, next पे आते हैं about the last editorial that is saying about the draconian law that needs to disappear. That is, here we are talking about AFSPA, AFSPA, that is the Armed Forces Special Power Act. So it has been dubbed as a license to kill, and the main criticism of this act is what? It is directed against the provisions which where the armed forces have the powers to open fire, even cause death if prohibitory orders are violated. This act, that is the human rights activist objects on the ground that these provisions give the security forces some of the unbridled powers to arrest, search, seize, and even shoot to kill. And activists directly accuse the security forces of having destroyed homes and entire villages merely on suspicion that insurgents were hiding there. So they also objects various number of sections and conditions which protects the security forces personnel from the prosecution except with the prior section of the central government. And critics say this provision has on many occasions led to even non-commissioned officers brazenly opening fire on crowds without having to justify their action. So even the critics are of the view that this act has directly failed to contain terrorism and restore normalcy in disturbed areas like the Northeast, like the Jammu and Kashmir area. and the decision of the government to declare a particular area disturbed cannot be challenged in any court of law. Hence, several cases of human rights violations go unnoticed. So, though this AFSPA is directly the ultimate powers given to the respective security persons, okay, so we can see that this was very much first used in India by the time of 1942, when the Quit India movement was very much in rise. And it was the foundation of the 4 ordinances, including one of the Assam disturbed areas, invoking in 1947 to deal with the partition-induced internal security challenges. So this AFSPA directly was followed by, in our respective area of state of Assam, it was directly followed by the Assam Disturbed Area Acts of 1955. Okay, so what I have told you, that this act directly gives the sweeping powers to some of the armed forces. Okay, so there are various critics directly saying about the repealing of such number of acts, that is a draconian law, and even there has been various attempts that has been made by various number of even protesters and various eminent personalities, be it like Arayam Samila, who in 2000 the activities items have begun a hunger strike that would continue for around 16 years against AFSPA in Manipur. You can see about Justice Jeevan Reddy, which in 2004 the then central government set up a 5-member committee under former Supreme Court Judge Jeevan Reddy, and the committee recommended the repeal of ASPA and called it highly undesirable and held that it had become a symbol of oppression. Also, the Second Administrative Reforms Commission subsequently said about that it should endorse this recommendation in full-fledged manner, which was headed by, at that point of time, by Virappa Moili. So the government and the security forces should abide by these respective guidelines, which have been formed, which have been given by the respective committees, that is set up by even by the Supreme Court, Justice Jeevan Reddy Commission, and even the reports that is put forward by the National Human Rights Commission. तो इसीलिए इसको draconian law बोला जाता है, that needs to disappear as soon as possible, because it directly gives a smell of operational ability in a democratic country like India. Okay, so this was about the discussion of the editorial. Okay, we have got some of the 5 questions. The answers you will directly get in our Telegram channel. Okay, so thank you for today. Jai Hind.